You are welcome to today's episode of Formula for Everyday with the Formula Law.
Hi, welcome to Formula for Everyday podcast. I am your host, Lawrence Nkwacha. Welcome to today, which is a Sunday special edition. And today we're going to continue with the book we started about 2 Sundays back, which is The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. So today we're going to be diving right into the habit 1, which is a very interesting habit. I'm very sure that you're going to learn a lot from. And the habit 1 is be proactive. So I've said in previous episode that this is one of the most profound personal development books I've read as a growing up man, and it has transformed various aspects of my life. I would highly recommend this to be part of your personal library, and it's for it to also be a very resourceful document that you get to consult as often as you can. So be proactive. Now, the chapter started with this very interesting quote. I know of no more encouraging fact than the unquestionable ability of a man to elevate his life by conscious endeavor, and it's by Henry David Thoreau. So your consciousness and your endeavor put in one can elevate your life above any status, no matter where you are in life, no matter where you stand right now. With your conscious endeavor, with effort and persistence, you can move your life from wherever it is to where you want it to be. So conscious endeavor, and that's what being proactive is all about. Now, being proactive is a very interesting model because it's not just about you reacting to situation. It's being able to plan ahead. So he said to be proactive means to be more than merely taking initiative. He said our behavior is a function of our decision, not our conditions. So whatever happens around you is a function of what you have put in your mind. It's like premeditation. When you have thought about something before it happens, that's what actually influences your decisions. So responsibility is your response ability. You have to be able to build in some very principle-based characters that is going to help whenever something happens to you. Okay, so your responsibility, according to this book and how he explained it, is your responsibility. So how you're able to respond to different situations that come to you. So in church today, I got to learn that humans always encounter challenges. Wherever it is you are in life, you could you may have had difficulty gaining admission into school, or you had difficulty in school. You may have had difficulty graduating, or you had difficulty getting a job, or you had difficulty getting a life partner, or you even had difficulty getting children, or you had difficulty raising children. One way or the other, you must encounter challenges, you must encounter difficulties. But what makes you to be highly effective in solving such challenges and problems and surmounting them is your proactivity, is how proactive you are, is how you're able to internalize very helpful characters and also come up with very good decisions. So reactive people are usually affected by the environment, while proactive people know their responsibility. So don't just allow your environment to always influence you. You must have principle-based characters, some things you have built as a form of paradigm within you that can help you to respond to any situation very well. So feelings must be made subordinate to values. Feelings must be made subordinate to values. No one can hurt you without your consent. So this is by Eleanor Roosevelt. So whatever happens in your life, no matter how it comes to you, nobody can ever determine your reaction without your consent. So our response to what happens to us is what hurts us. So he went further to say there are 3 values in life: the experiential, the attitudinal, and the creative. The highest is the attitudinal in the paradigm of reframing sense. So your attitude is everything. Some would say your attitude will determine your altitude in your flight plan, in your ascension as a person. So your attitude is everything. How you respond to things. If you encounter a situation or a challenge that is not pleasant or favorable to you, how do you respond to it? How do you react? Your attitude is everything.
You are still listening to Formula for Everyday with the Formula Law. Stay tuned.
Okay, so he went further to say always use your R and your I. Now, the R and I stands for your resourcefulness as well as your initiative. Now, being resourceful is actually different from being amongst resources. You have iOS devices, you have even the money to get courses and things that are going to help you to develop your skill and your character, but amongst those resources, you are still living in lack. You are living in lack, not just monetary lack, but you are lacking in character, you are lacking in skill, you are lacking in a lot of things that your resources should have gotten to you. So, being resourceful is knowing how to utilize your resources and doing that with a lot of initiative. So, proactivity is different from positive thinking or optimism because a proactive man will face facts but also seek a way to solve the problem. So, he brought out this sketch of the cycle of influence and the cycle of concern. Now, proactive people focus on the cycle of influence. The cycle of influence is always within the cycle of concern. As you begin to think about your cycle of influence, it begins to expand and shrink the circle of concern. Usually the circle of concern is where fear lies, and once you go beyond your fear, you begin to have faith in your circle of influence. So you mentioned that there are three problems that exist, which are the direct problems, which are behaviors, then the indirect problems, which are other people's behavior. Now, the direct problems, you can solve it because you can always change the quality of your life by changing your behavior, characters, and how you react to situations. But you cannot directly control how people behave, but you could have influence on them. You could have influence on other people, but that's an indirect problem. Then we have situations that we have no control over, like some of the bad news coming on in the world, rumors of wars. You can literally not do anything to stop a president of a sovereign nation from wanting to invade another country. So you literally don't have any control over that. So those are some of the issues that we have no control over. So he said direct generated problems can be solved by working within your circle of influence. Indirect control problems are solved by changing our methods of influence. While no control is to learn to accept problems beyond our control, yet not empower them to control us. So in as much as we have no control over some problems, we must not also empower such problems to begin to have control over our lives. We must be very careful to be sure that we have a very good sense of what we are doing as people. So to round up, he started making some very interesting points. He said a good test of proactivity is what and how we make and keep promises to ourselves. So the more you continue to make and keep promises to yourself and to others, you begin to have a greater level of honor, and this honor will always exceed your mood. This honor will always exceed whatever it is that you think about yourself, whatever it is you think about your situation. You begin to feel better, you begin to feel good as you make and keep promises both to yourself and to other people. So this final statement was very profound. He said, the fountain of content must spring up in the mind, and he who has so little knowledge of human nature as to seek happiness by changing anything but his own disposition will waste his life in fruitless efforts and multiply the grief he proposes to remove. So 7 habits of highly effective people. Habit number 1, be proactive. Be proactive. Whatever it is that is going on in your life right now, whatever it is that may go on in your life today or tomorrow or whichever day that it comes, you must always have these habits as your guide. Be proactive. Don't wait until the fire starts burning before you look for where the extinguisher is, or you go to buy an extinguisher. Get an extinguisher and put it in place where you could find it in case of a fire outbreak. That's exactly the same thing that being proactive does to our emotions. That's exactly what being proactive does to our mind. You begin to prepare before you encounter your problem. So with this, I've come to the end of today's edition of Formula for Everyday, where I discussed the habit 1 of 7 habits of highly effective people, which is be proactive. So until I come your way again on Tuesday, where we're going to be concluding our book, Be Obsessed or Be Average,